Hey, how's it guys? Welcome to another episode of Big John's Wine Adventures. And today, I'm going to be showing you guys the entire island. I'm going to take you guys on a Grand Circle Island tour where we're going to be covering about 80% of the island. So the majority of the island you will get to see today. And we're going to start off here in North Shore with Green World Coffee Farm. So just as you get off H2 and get on Kamehameha Highway, one of the first places that you'll see as you enter North Shore is Green World Coffee Farm. And if you guys are a fan of coffee, I would highly recommend this place, especially if you guys want to try Hawaiian coffee. They actually have their own coffee plantation right in the backyard, and they also sell other locally grown, locally produced coffee. And if you guys like strong coffee, then you'll probably like Hawaiian coffee. It's got a very distinct flavor because it's grown in that volcanic soil. So here we are at our next stop, which is Dole Pineapple Plantation's Visitor Center. And as you can see just behind me, you have these bromeliads that make up the letters Dole. And we're gonna go ahead and check out the inside where you can find lots of souvenirs that you can take home, like mugs, hats, shirts that relate to Dole. And then in the backyard, there is a botanical garden with a variety of pineapples and bromeliads from all over the world that you might want to check out. Now, also, there's the Pineapple Express, which is this little choo-choo train that goes around the botanical garden in the backyard. And, you know, it's really great for kids, but just a heads up, it does take some time to do that. So if you don't have a whole lot of time, I wouldn't recommend it. The other thing is, right next to the visitor center, you have the world's largest outdoor maze. And once again, I repeat, world's largest outdoor maze. So, you know, if you guys don't have a whole lot of time, I wouldn't recommend going in there. So it might take some time to come back out. But let's go ahead and check out inside Dole Pineapple Plantation's visitor center. Let's go. So just at the back of the visitor center, you'll find this cafeteria where they have the famous pineapple whips, the Dole whips, the pineapple flavored ice creams that are really good. And if you guys ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, they're pretty famous over here, and they say the ones over here taste way better. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Alright, so what you're looking at right now is the base of the plant, and the base of the plant is called the crown, and the pineapple grows on top of this crown. Now, it takes an average of 18 months for these pineapples to reach maturity, and each pineapple plant only grows one single pineapple in its lifetime. After that, they have to store it all over. But the good thing is, these pineapples, they grow all throughout the year. So what they do is they cycle these pineapple crops, so they have a ongoing growth of pineapples all throughout the year. So this is how they start out. When they first start out, they're kind of pink and red, and as they reach maturity, they get more of this greenish yellow color. And each one of these pineapple plants are hand-picked and hand-planted, and the ones that do that are called crowners. All right, and what we have here is a rainbow eucalyptus tree. And you see a lot of these rainbow eucalyptus trees here in Hawaii. And they're originally from the rainforests of the Philippines. All right, so we're at our next stop. This is Waimea Valley Park, and we're right here at the waterfall inside Waimea Valley. So this is one of the waterfalls in which you can swim in. You do have to wear life jackets though. It is mandatory. The life jackets are free. You simply go over to these lifeguards over here and ask them for a life jacket that fits your size, and then you guys can go in. When you guys first go in, the rocks underneath the water can be quite slippery, so just be very careful. You want to take little baby steps. Once you get about knee deep, then you can dive in. Inside, it's actually pretty deep. It's about 10 to 15 feet, and you can actually swim all the way up to the waterfall and stand underneath it. Now, also, the waterfall is not open every day, so before you make this hike up here, you always want to check at the front desk and make sure that the waterfall is open. When you get a lot of rain, when it gets very brown or murky, they close it off, or sometimes there's no waterfall at all. If you come here during the dry season, sometimes if it hasn't rained for a long time, it's completely vaporized. There's nothing there at all. So it all depends on the condition. It all depends on the amount of rain that you get. When you get a lot of rain, you know, the day before, that thing can turn into Niagara Falls. So it all depends on the conditions, but most days it is open. And to get to the waterfall from the entrance, it takes about 3/4 of a mile to walk up to the waterfall, 3/4 of a mile to walk back to the entrance of the visitor center. So it takes about roughly 20 minutes to get up here, 20 minutes to get down. It's a gradual incline to the waterfall and a gradual decline from the waterfall. It is a paved pathway the entire way. It's actually easier to get back from the waterfall than it is to come up to the waterfall. And they do have shuttle rides that can take you to the waterfall and back for an additional fee. I believe it is $10 one way per person, cash only. And you don't have to do it both ways. You can walk up to the waterfall, and then if you feel like you're tired, you can always catch a shuttle ride back.
Yes, that would be perfect. Yeah, come in late. That's what I would do.
So they got a safe storage over here. We can lock your bags up while you're swimming in the waterfall. And they also have bleachers across from the waterfall where you can sit down and just enjoy the view. Look at this. They put these this big fence up just about a year ago due to these huge boulders falling down. So falling rocks, landslides, that's another big natural disaster that we have here in Hawaii, especially during the wet season. The soil becomes too saturated and it easily gives way. It's also to keep T-Rex out. And then there are changing rooms at the base of the waterfall as well, where you can get changed. So you don't need to get changed right away. You can just take your swimwear and your towels with you and get changed when you get up here. And this is exactly what I was talking about. When you get a lot of rain, this is what it turns into. This is what it normally looks like. And if you come here during the dry season, sometimes there's nothing at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever happened with
So here is a bird's eye view of Waimea Valley, the valley that we are in right now. And believe it or not, this entire valley was carved out by nothing but wind and rain over 2 million years. So we're at the base of the waterfall right now, and as you can see, they got restrooms up here as well. That's the shuttle stop. So the shuttle comes and goes once every 20 to 30 minutes. If you guys do want to catch a shuttle ride, if you don't want to walk. But like I said, it is a pretty easy walk. Most people can do it without too much effort. And then there's even a little snack shop right here where you can get some snacks, some refreshments if you're hungry or thirsty.
I can see the top of that tree.
So this beautiful valley has plants and trees from all over the world, not just Hawaii. So when you come in here, you're going to find that each plant, each tree is tagged with these red or green tags. I'll give you an example. Okay, there you go. And these tags will tell you exactly where it originates from and what it's called. And the red tags mean that they're endangered.
I needed 2 pieces of information.
All right, and here's the shuttle ride that comes and goes once every 20 to 30 minutes. This is the Panemus tree, which is very similar to the hollow tree, which is part of the pineapple family. That's why the pods resemble the pineapples, but they're not edible, they're just pods. So just behind me, we have a traveler's tree here, and it is originally from Madagascar as well as Australia. And the reason why they call this a traveler's tree is because when it rains, water gets collected at the base of the stem, and a passing by traveler comes and drinks out of it. And right over here we have a sandbox tree, and the fruit of this tree is poisonous, so you want to stay away from this one. Now right over here we have a variety of ginger. So here we got white ginger and red ginger. So in Hawaii we get a lot of ginger as well. is red ginger. Oh, and they got Wi-Fi here as well, by the way, in this valley, because usually the internet doesn't work inside this valley. There's no reception in here as well. So if you want to use the internet inside this valley, you got to rely on Wi-Fi. But hey, who needs the internet when you can enjoy the nature? So just over here on the left, we have a lychee tree, lychee, however you want to call it. You know, the one that goes in your martinis. It's not the season yet. That's why you don't see the lychees on them. Now, also, right over here, these two with the lighter barks. These are mountain apple trees, which are also very common in Hawaii. And they are edible, but they're not as tasty as regular apples. They're kind of blend and not as sweet, and they're very small, but it's not the time of the year yet. But these are mountain apple trees, and you find them growing in mostly, you guessed it right, mountains. This little area here is where they do a lot of the wedding ceremonies and things like that. Prior to the pandemic, they used to do a lot of wedding ceremonies inside this valley. And they used to have concerts as well in the summertime. Concert festivals where each section of the park would have a different band playing. And as you make your way up to the waterfall, you can get to listen to all different kinds of music along the way. And yeah, I hope they bring those back soon. Now, right over here, we have a noni tree, also known as a Indian mulberry tree, originally from India and Australia. And the fruit that it bears, the noni fruit, is known as a miracle fruit or fruit of the gods because it is extremely good for you. And what they do is they extract the juice, and here we have some on the ground, although this one is a little bit smashed up. Okay, so that's part of the fruit right there. And what they do is they extract the juice, and noni juice is becoming very popular around the world these days. A lot of the health shops will sell them. It's a antioxidant and a stomach cleanser, and it's very good for diabetes and also lowering your blood pressure. Although just like anything that tastes good, it doesn't, or just like anything that's good for you, it doesn't taste good. So what they do is they usually mix it with other ingredients, mainly sugar, to give it a better taste, which to me kind of defies the purpose of being healthy, but at least it tastes better. So once again, it's called noni, N-O-N-I, noni juice. Very good for you. Here we have a Norfolk pine tree, and these are also known as cook pine trees, and usually you find them growing in higher elevations in Hawaii, usually on top of mountains. Here, Norfolk. Then here we have a Royal Poinciana. Now this tree doesn't look that interesting right now, but in spring the entire canopy top is covered in these red flowers, and those flowers fall to the ground and form a red carpet underneath the tree. That's when it looks pretty spectacular. So we're looking at the side of the valley right now, and most of the plants and trees on this side of the valley is from South and Central America. Remember, they got plants and trees from all over the world here, not just Hawaii. Beautiful. So, you know, I would say if you're coming here and planning to swim at the waterfall, give yourself about at least an hour, hour and a half, because it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to walk up to the waterfall. Then you probably want to have like another 30 minutes to swim inside the waterfall, and then another 20-30 minutes to walk back. So unless you're planning on taking the shuttle ride, you probably want to give yourself at least an hour, hour and a half here. So now we're coming up to Auntie Coco's Lei Garden, and these are different types of flowers that they use to make leis out of. The flower necklaces that you see everybody wear here in Hawaii. And Auntie Coco was a longtime staff member of this valley. She was usually in charge of taking care of this section of the park, and when she passed away, they dedicated this section of the park in honor of her name. Got some birds of paradise right there in the background. And then you see all these trees with the white bark? These are all kukui nut trees. Kukui, K-U-K-U-I. And this is our state tree. And the reason why this is our state tree is because in ancient Hawaiian times, these kukui nuts had a lot of uses for the ancient Hawaiians. So let me just see if I could find one on the ground. Let me get a little bit closer to these kukui nut trees. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see if we can find some on the ground. So here we go. There it is. This is a kukui nut. So when it's up in the tree, it's got a big green exterior. Once it reaches maturity, it falls to the ground and starts to ferment. Now, the ancient Hawaiians would pick this up, and between the nut and the outer exterior, there's a very oily residue, and they would extract that oil to light their tiki torches because, one, that oil is very flammable, and two, they would also use it as a healing remedy. If you have any aching joints, you rub it on your joints and it makes it feel much better, kind of like Bengay or Icy Hot, loosens up all the joints. That's exactly what it does. And if you're interested, you can actually find this kukui nut oil in those hard to find ABC stores in Waikiki. That's a joke, by the way. If you ever come to Waikiki, you'll get it. There's a lot of them, the ABC stores. And there's Auntie Coco. So, just over 200 years ago, a real ahupua'a did exist here. So, ahupua'as back in ancient Hawaiian times were basically these villages that span from usually the top of the mountain down to the ocean along the side of creeks. And just over 200 years ago, a real one did exist here. But we're going to see an example of one here in just a second. By the way, here we got some bananas.
Is it like the Pacific headquarters, you think?
Well, it's not.
And then here we have a wahane palm. And it looks like this one already got rid of all its pods, but usually there's pods underneath the palms. And when those pods reach maturity, they split open, the seeds fall to the ground, and nearby animals eat it. And when they poop it out, another one takes its place. The cycle of life. right, so here we got some hibiscus. And the yellow hibiscus, also known as the Pua Alo Alo, this is our state flower. And the reason why it's our state flower is because it represents the colors of the Ali'is. So the Ali'is were basically Hawaiian royalty, these Hawaiian chiefs back in ancient Hawaiian times. And oftentimes these chiefs wore a cape with the colors of red and yellow. So because this flower has the exact same color, that's why it became our state flower. Now, right over here, we're coming up to some sugar canes. So this is a sugarcane field. And these sugar canes used to be the #1 income of Hawaii back in the mid-1800s. Pretty much from the late 1700s all the way till the early 1900s. This was the #1 income, these sugar canes. But no more. These days, sugar canes are a dying business, not just here in Hawaii, but pretty much everywhere else in the world, because these days, most sugar producers get their sugar from sugar beets. It's a lot easier to harvest sugar from sugar beets than it is from sugar canes. For this reason, all the sugar mills in Hawaii have shut down. There used to be one that was still operating on Maui just a few years ago, and I believe since then, that one is closed too. Now, I heard it's making somewhat of a comeback where they have these small sugarcane fields that they take visitors to and show them how to extract that sugar. But as far as commercial use, that is done for. So can you guys guess what the biggest income of Hawaii is nowadays? Any guesses? Tourism! Tourism! That's right. Thanks to folks like you, we generate over $9 billion a year. So thank you for coming. Because if you don't come, we don't eat. Now, can you guys guess what the second biggest income is? Second biggest income of Hawaii. Any guesses? The United States military. The United States military is our second biggest income. And tourism is our #1 bread and butter. But back in the mid-1800s, these sugar canes were the #1 income. Oh, by the way, we got some kiawe here. This is the mesquite wood, which is really, really good for barbecues. Very hard to find too. Once again, kiawe, aka mesquite wood. What's the range? Like, is it 5K or something? Dang. Will it not push back past its limits? So like,
yeah.
Like it won't allow you to go outside of its own.
Well, you don't really want to fly it any further than that, bro, because you'll stop being able to see it. Like, there's like 30 people on that call.
All right, so right over here, we're looking at an example of a taro farm. And these taro plants, okay, the root of the plant, the very base of it, is what they use to make poi out of. Poi was the main staple diet of the ancient Hawaiians. Okay, kind of like in some cultures how they would eat rice or bread with everything, the Hawaiians would eat poi with everything. And it's very bland in taste. The closest thing I can resemble poi to is actually grits. So if you like grits, you might like poi. But it really doesn't have a taste at all. And it's meant to be eaten with other stuff, mainly fish. And poi is very high in protein, and it's also very starchy, and that's one of the reasons why the ancient Hawaiians were so fit, so muscular. One of the reasons is because they had a very high protein diet, mainly because of poi. And like I said, it was meant to be eaten with other stuff, mainly fish. These days, what some people do is they put a little bit of milk in it, or they mix it with a little bit of sugar, they put a little bit of honey to kind of give it a sweeter taste. Here we have a ficus tree. And then here we have some hales. These huts that you see over here, they're usually, the exterior of it is usually made out of the dried out coconut palms, the leaves of the coconut palm tree. And then this right here, this is what I was talking about earlier, just a second ago, where they show an example of a ahupua'a, an ancient Hawaiian village. And when you look at these huts, these grass shacks, we call them, you'll see a lot of them are surrounded by these long green leaves, and those are called tea leaves, tea as in T-I, not the tea that you drink. They come in two different colors, red tea leaves and green tea leaves. And here is a closer look at one of them. Okay, so this is a tea leaf. And the reason why you see these huts surrounded with these tea leaves is because in ancient Hawaiian times, they believed these tea leaves acted as a repellent for evil spirits. So they would surround their villages with these tea leaves to repel the evil spirits away. Now, also, if you guys ever come here and go to a luau, you'll notice that they roast a pig underneath the ground. So that style of cooking, we call that emu, E-M-U. Prior to doing so, prior to roasting the pig underneath the ground, they wrap the pig in these leaves because these leaves are fireproof. They do not burn. So it's a perfect method of insulating the meat. That's why the kluo pork is very succulent, very juicy, because these leaves help seal all the moisture. Same thing with the fire dancers. If you ever go to a fire dance show, you see the fire dancers wear tea leaf skirts around their waists and their ankles. And a lot of people think that's like for fun, for style, but it's actually for purposes, to protect them from the fire. So everything's for a reason. By the way, these are called yellow lollipop plants. Yellow lollipop. Just don't try to look at them. And as I said before, just over 200 years ago, a real ahupua'a did exist here inside this valley. These are all lava rocks. You can always tell by all these little holes in them. Those are all air pockets when the lava was still alive. And one thing about these lava rocks is you'll notice that the moss is only growing on one side of the rock. If you ever get lost in a jungle somewhere, just know that the moss only grows in the northern point of the rock. It has to do with the angle of the sun. Not sure if that's going to help you, but at least you'll know where north is. Here we have a hibiscus garden. Hibiscus, or you want to say it? So we got red hibiscus, white hibiscus, got some hybrids in the back. Now this right here is a very unique tree. This is called the tree of sadness, originally from India, and the reason why they call it that is because the flowers of this tree only bloom at night. And these are the flowers right over here. This is what it looks like. Okay, and when these flowers first bloom, they're very fragrant. You can smell them from far away, but usually the rain washes off a lot of the scent overnight. But this is one of the main ingredients of modern day perfumes. This is what they use to make modern day perfumes out of, because of their fragrance. They're very fragrant. And in some parts of India, they also use it to make an orange dye.
From around the world.
Tree of sadness.
Exactly.
All right, so here we got some banana trees. So if you look over here, we got the bananas, and then right underneath it you have what is called the heart, which is the flower of the banana. And we call it the heart because it looks like a heart, although this one is very small. Normally they're bigger than that. But usually what happens is the flower grows down. As it grows down, the petals lift up. The bananas grow underneath the petals. Once the bananas get bigger, the petals fall off, and then all you have remaining are the bananas. So when you first come into the valley, you're gonna come to a crossroads, and you want to make sure that you go right and not left. Right is the way to the waterfall. Just follow the signs. All right, so we are now coming to the area where the Aloha like to hang out. So the Aloha, the Hawaiian moorhen, is one of the few indigenous birds of Hawaii, still alive to this day. It is a little black bird with a bright red beak. So this is what it looks like. And this is usually where it hangs out, in this little pond here. As soon as you go through the entrance, you'll see it on the left hand side. And it is a flightless bird. Over time, evolution has made its wings too short to fly. Why? No need to fly, no natural predators, until the sugar producers came along and introduced the mongoose to the Hawaiian Islands, and the mongoose nearly wiped them out. So for this reason, they're now considered to be endangered species. And you might be wondering, well, why in the heck would they bring the mongoose over here? Well, it's because to combat the rat population. So back in those days when sugar canes were the #1 income of Hawaii, there was a very big rat infestation here. The rats were destroying all the sugar canes. So these sugar producers were looking for ways to combat the rat population. And one of the things they thought about was introducing the mongoose to the sugar cane fields. They thought the mongoose would take care of the rats. The only problem was, one, they brought in the wrong type of mongoose. Two, the mongoose only came out during the daytime and the rats only came out during the nighttime, so they never ran into each other. So they pretty much took one problem and made it even worse. Now, before you say, well, if they don't get rid of the rats, at least they'll get rid of the snakes, right? Guess what? We have absolutely no snakes in Hawaii. So you might be wondering, if they don't eat the rats and if they don't eat the snakes, what do they eat? Well, you see a lot of chickens running around and they eat the eggs of those chickens. That's their main stable diet. Sometimes if they're hungry enough, they'll eat the chicken itself, but they have to be very desperate to do that. Normally they just go for the eggs. But that is the reason why the Aloha, the Hawaiian moorhen, is now considered to be endangered, because of the mongoose merely wiping out their population. But some of them are still here to this day, so at least they're not extinct for now. And I don't see them today. They're probably hiding in the back somewhere. But if you guys do come back to, or if you guys do come to Waimea Valley, just keep your eyes on this little pond, this spot right here on the left side as soon as you go through the entrance. And then just over here, we have a cannonball tree. All right, so that's a cannonball tree. They call it that because, as you can see, the fruit bears look just like cannonballs. They have it blocked off. They don't want anybody going near it because they're very heavy. If they fall on you, they can easily hurt you. But this is what the fruit looks like up close. As you can see, somebody broke one open. Okay, let me just pick it up. Okay, so as it ferments, it gets that blue and purplish color. The inside is edible, but only as a last resort. Let's say you are starving in the jungle, you have nothing else to eat. That's what you would resort to because it is very acidic, very rough on the stomach. Cannonball tree.
What's it, bro?
Oh, you don't? Okay, well. No, okay. It's fine.
All right, guys, so as you can see just behind me, we have these two massive monkey pot trees. So you get a lot of these monkey pot trees in Hawaii, and they are originally from Africa. And when they brought in the seeds, it adapted really well to the climate and started spreading all over the place. So anytime you see these trees with these round canopy tops, those are usually monkey pot trees. And the reason why we call them that, let me just show you, give you an example, if I can find one. The reason why they call it that is because they have these pods that hang off the branches, and when these pods get really long, the tip starts to curl and looks like a monkey's tail. So give me 1 second. I'm just trying to find you guys a good example of one. Let's see if we can find one over here. Okay, so here we go. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the pod of the tree right here. Okay, it hangs off the branch, and when it gets really long, the tip curls, as you can see, and looks like a monkey's tail. Now, they're also known as rain trees or umbrella trees because as they get older, they get more of this canopy effect, and as it rains, you get underneath, you stay dry. It provides perfect shelter. In fact, during World War II, the United States military would actually hide their military equipment underneath these trees, such as trucks, tanks, and even airplanes, because of the excellent camouflage that are provided from up top. So these monkey pot trees saved a lot of lives during World War II in the Pacific chapter. Now, this is the gift shop, which is just at the entrance of the valley. And if it rains a lot, they also have ponchos here that you can buy. But I wouldn't be too concerned about the rain, because usually the rain doesn't last too long. Usually by the time you put your poncho on, that rain is already gone. And these are all movies and TV shows that were filmed right here inside this valley. So if you guys remember Lost, most of the episodes of Lost were filmed here. And also, if you guys remember George of the Jungle with Brandon Fraser, that was also filmed here. Yumi and Dupree, and a couple of other famous ones. And then there's also a snack shop here as well at the entrance. If you guys get hungry, you can get something to eat from here. And they even have a little bakery and a little bar. So if you want to drink, or if you want to get some coffee, you can also do that. And they got restrooms here as well. So this is the entrance of Waimea Valley Park. Just over here we have a tangerine tree. You get a lot of tangerines in Hawaii as well. You can see the tangerines up there. All right, so what you're looking at right now, guys, is the Hale Olono, which is a heiau. And these heiaus are scattered all across Hawaii. And these were basically areas of pilgrimage in ancient Hawaiian times, where the Hawaiians would get together and they would place offerings on top of these lava rocks, such as fruits and dried fish, in order to appease their god Lono, who was the god of agriculture, god of fertility, so they can receive prosperity for their land, a good harvest. And in Hawaiian mythology, they had many different gods, but their two most important gods were Lono, who was once again the god of agriculture or god of fertility. And you can actually see, if you look at those two tikis up front, the one on the left with kind of looks like a smiling face, that's Lono. And then the other one was Ku, who was their war god, and that's the one on the right with the tongue sticking out. And their seasons out of the year were divided by these two gods. So during the season of Lono was the season for their harvest and their festivities. And during the season of Ku was the season for their wars, their battles, and their sacrifices. And like I said, they have these heiau scattered all across Hawaii. And this particular heiau is dedicated to Lono, the god of agriculture or god of fertility. Alrighty guys, so here we are. This is our next stop. Welcome to Sharks Cove Crater. And right now you are looking at the crater of an extinct volcano semi-submerged in the ocean. So inside of the crater, these are all tidal pools caused by big waves washing over the rocky walls. And inside part of the crater is a very popular spot for snorkeling. And the outside part of the crater, particularly that spot right there, is very popular for scuba diving. Because on the outside part of the crater, you have a lot of these hardened lava formations like arches, lava tubes, overhangs. And a lot of the reef sharks, they like to hang out within those hardened lava formations. So because of the abundance of sharks here, they call it Sharks Cove. But remember, these are reef sharks, and if you know anything about reef sharks, you know that they're harmless. They're very small and they're very shy. They're usually more scared of you than you are scared of them. And you know, I'm also a scuba dive instructor, and when I used to work as a scuba dive instructor, I used to dive with those reef sharks all the time, and they usually swim away as soon as you try to get close. All the big bad sharks that you guys are thinking about, those guys usually hang out way out in the open, because those big sharks prefer the colder temperatures, and closer you get to shore, the warmer the water gets. For this reason, you won't find those big sharks near the shorelines, finger crossed. Now, inside part of the crater is popular for snorkeling. However, as you can see, it's pretty shallow, so you definitely want to have water shoes if you come over here, because these hardened lava formations are very jagged, very sharp. So if you're not careful, you can easily cut your feet, and you want to watch out for your knees as well and your elbows. But you do get a lot of tropical fish inside here. You get a lot of octopus, you get a lot of eels. So you know, you can see lots of sea life in here. And in the wintertime, when you get these big waves, it does fill up a little bit more. In the summertime, when the waters are very calm here in North Shore, it gets very, very shallow. That's when you want to be extra careful.